give a top?
Yes, please. You can start. Yeah, thank you.
So today on the agenda, we do have something pretty curious, which are the moving averages. So sorry, I will share my my screen. Okay. So I guess you receive the slides. Okay, you should have the slides for today, tomorrow, and Monday. Something like that. Yeah. Okay, so today what I would like to cover is just to try to explain you what are moving averages, why are they using so much by X12, what are their properties and their defaults. This is basically what I want to do, because X12 is going to make a large use of moving averages to make the job, to make the decomposition. So it's good to have a short idea of these tools, and you will see that at the beginning it's very simple. At the end it becomes a bit more tricky, but it's just an introduction to moving averages. So if you remember what I said the first day, I quoted a sentence by Sir Kendall, which was the essential idea of trend is that it shall be smooth. So the idea, the idea is that you do not have breaks or big breaks or big irregular in the trend. It has to be very smooth. So if it is smooth, you can understand that the values from one month to the other or from one quarter to the other cannot be very far from each other because it's smooth, okay? And so the idea is that if you want to have an idea of a value, it means that each value around the date give you some information on the value at this date. They are linked because of the smoothness of a component. So what you have xt, x sub t, and because t, I should have written trend cycle, in fact, but anyway, trend cycle should be, as it is smooth, the values around the data, the values of x sub t give you an idea of the value of t, of capital T. So the problem is how you can summarize the values around a date T. The basic idea, of course, if you want to summarize a set of data, what you are going to do is to compute, for example, the median or the mean, okay, the average. So the median, if you want to summarize with median, you will use what we call running medians. It has been developed, and you even have a method for seasonal adjustment based on running medians. But we are going to use the mean, so the moving averages, which are in fact the linear filters, okay? So what is, if I want, it looks complex, but you will see that it's not very complex. If I want to define what a moving average is, it's very simple. The basic idea of a moving average is that you can get an idea of a trend cycle, for example, of a signal, the trend cycle at date t, by averaging the values of x sub t around the date t, okay? So you could, for example, to do the average, you could take P points in the past, F points in the future, and the current point. It's a very large definition. And you could also put some weights on the points. So a very large definition of what a moving average M is just defined by the number of points in the past, the number of points in the future, the current point, and the weights you are going to give to each point, okay? So, for example, here, I define a simple moving average of order 3. And this definition here is I take 2 points in the past, x sub t minus 2 plus x sub t minus 1 plus x and the current point. So no point in the future, okay? And I just do the simple average. So I take the sum and divide by 3, okay? This is, for example, a simple moving average you can use to smooth a time series. It has several qualities and it has also several defaults. Let me continue. Of course, if you have P equal to F, so you have as many points in the past than you have in the future, you will say that your moving average is centered, okay? And moreover, is the weight around the center, so around date T, if the weights are symmetric, you are going to have a symmetric moving average, okay? For example, let me give you an example. This moving average at the end, I have 5 points, you see, from 2 points in the past, t minus 2, t minus 1, the current point, and 2 points in the future, t plus 1, t plus 2, okay? So I have P equal to F, so my moving average is centered. But moreover, the weights are symmetrical. For example, if you have the t minus 2 and t plus 2 do have the same weight, which is 1 divided by 8, okay? And t minus 1 and t plus 1 have the same weight, which is 1 divided by 4, 2 divided by 8, so 1 divided by 4. And the center point, of course, has the same weight because you have just one weight, okay? So this moving average is a symmetric moving average. Here, you have 2 asymmetric moving average. The first one, you have 2 points in the past and 1 point in the future. So it's not centered, so it's not symmetric. It is what we call asymmetric moving average. And the second one, 1 point in the past and 2 points in the future. This moving average is also an asymmetric moving average because it has 1 point in the past and 2 in the future. They are not equal. It's not centered. So this is an issue. We will see that later, but it is an issue. If you use, I can tell you something right now. If you use an asymmetric moving average, in fact, you will have troubles, in particular because you are going to introduce a fast shift, a delay in your trend cycle. So you remember what we said the first day about the annual growth rate? Remember the annual growth rate, if I take quarterly time series, the annual growth rate will be something like E sub t minus x sub t minus 4 divided by x sub t minus 4. So somehow you have here the x sub t minus x sub t minus 4, which is an asymmetric moving average. Why? Because if you look at it, the only dates that are present in the definition are t and t minus 4. So you can see this kind of moving average like an asymmetric moving average of order 5 with weights that are equal to 1 if you have at t minus 4, 0 at t minus 3, 0 at t minus 2, 0 at t minus 1, and 1 at t minus at t, okay? So you have some kind of asymmetric moving average. And we saw that you introduce a delay. We saw that in the curve. You remember the parabola, and we discussed that already. So every asymmetric moving average will introduce a fast shift in your data. For example, this one, the small one we just defined a few minutes ago, 2 points in the past and the current point. This is asymmetric. You have no point in the future. And this one will introduce a delay in the turning point. So we do not like, I should do more mathematics to show you that, but I will not. We do not like, just keep in mind that we do not really like asymmetric moving averages because they introduce a fast shift in the data. So you see here, this moving average is, it just, I introduce it because if you want to define a moving average of order 4, you are a bit, you have a doubt because you do not know if it's order 4, you do not know how many points in the past and in the future. So I just give you 2 examples and I took the average of the 2. And this moving average has a wonderful properties, and this moving average is used by X11 when it works on quarterly data. I will show you that a bit later, okay? You will see very quickly the properties of this moving average. So let us suppose, for example, that we have a following decomposition model. We have trend cycle, seasonal component, and an irregular. Remember that this is exactly the case when you have finished the Regarima part. If you remember, in the Regarima part, you correct from outliers, you correct from calendar effects, and at the end of the day, you obtain a series, a corrected series that we call the Z sub t, and this Z sub t follows an ARIMA model, and we want now to decompose this time series, this ZT, with exactly this model, okay? So what do you want? If you want, for example, to smooth the series, you want to get an estimate of the trend cycle, okay? And you want to remove the seasonal component and the irregular. If you use a moving average, because this is an average, the average of a sum is the sum of the averages. So if you apply M to X sub t, you will have M will be applied to this equation, and then it will be the sum of the 3 parts, okay? So if you want that this quantity is very close to the estimate, to the trend cycle itself, if you want to smooth the series, it means that you want to design a moving average which is going to cancel the seasonal component, which is going to reduce as much as possible the irregular, and which is going to conserve as much as possible the trend cycle. If you succeed to build such a moving average, you have won, okay? So you see what I mean? I want to preserve some trend cycles. I want to cancel some seasonal component, and I want to reduce as much as possible the irregular. So this is my objective, okay? So how can I build some moving average that have this kind of properties? It's not that difficult. Let me show you just a bit of things, very small things. So let us imagine, for example, let us imagine that let us imagine that we want to preserve some trend cycles. The most simple trend cycle is the constant. So if I want to preserve the constant, what are the consequences on the moving average? I'm just showing you a few tips, and after you will understand the idea. For example, let me define a series which is a constant. So for every t, the value of a series is equal to A, okay? To A, sorry. And you have a moving average M, okay? If I apply my moving average, which has its very general definition, to my series, because my series is constant is equal to A, my moving average, the application will be equal to A multiplied by the sum of the coefficients, because I can put A in factor. So if I want that I preserve the constant, I want that M apply to x sub t, give me x sub t, okay? So I want that A multiplied by the sum of the coefficients is equal to A, which means that I want, if my coefficient, the sum of my coefficients is equal to 1, I know by construction that I am going to preserve the constant. And that's it. So I can now check, say, for example, let me imagine that I want to preserve also the straight lines. I will have this kind of equations. I'm not going to solve them. This is not the purpose of this introduction. But you will have some constraint on the coefficient. And you will see, for example, that if your moving average is symmetrical, if the sum of the coefficient is equal to 1, then it will preserve the constant, but because it is symmetrical, it will also preserve the straight lines. And so it is always possible to construct a moving average that will have some properties in terms of preservation of trend cycles. For example, this is what I wrote here. If you want to preserve a straight line, you must have a sum of a coefficient which is equal to 1, and you must have this property. Okay. For example, let me take this moving average, x sub t minus 1 plus x sub t plus x sub t plus 1. So this is a symmetrical moving average. You have 1 point in the past, 1 point in the future, 3 points, and all the weights are equal, so the moving average is symmetric. So if you do the sum of a coefficient, you will have 1/3 plus 1/3 plus 1/3, it's equal to 1. So this moving average is going to preserve the constant, okay? And if you look at this property, because the moving average is symmetric, it will also preserve the straight lines, okay? The second one, which is x sub t minus 2 plus x sub t minus 1 plus x sub t plus x sub t plus 1 divided by 4. This moving average, the sum of the coefficients is equal to 1 also. So it will preserve the constant. But this is not a symmetric moving average. So this property is not fulfilled here. So this moving average does not preserve the straight lines. But if I take this one, if you remember, perhaps you do not remember, it's not a big deal, but this is the moving average we just show. So just before I show you, this is the moving average that preserves the constant, but not the straight lines. You have also this moving average, which is 1 point in the past and 2 points in the future. This moving average preserves also the constant, the sum of the coefficient is equal to 1, but does not preserve the straight line because it is asymmetrical. But if I do the average of this one, I have now a moving average which is symmetrical. The sum of the weight is equal to 1. It's 1 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 1, so 8 divided by 8. And it is symmetrical, so this one preserves the straight lines. So this one does not, but the average of the two does. So that's why you will see, that's why X12 is using this moving average for a quarterly series. Okay? So now let me come back. So this one, which is the one I just studied in just now, this one preserves the straight lines. Okay. So now, if you remember, I want also to to cancel the seasonal component. So you must know a property. A property is very easy. If you have a simple moving average of order 4, if you have it, and if the coefficients are all equal to 1 divided by k, okay, then it will cancel the seasonal component of order of period k, which means that, let me come back on my big one, which means that this moving average is going to cancel, because it's a simple moving average of order 4, it will cancel all the seasonalities of period 4. So all the quarterly seasonalities. This one too, okay? And because this one is the sum, the average of the two of them, it will also cancel the quarterly seasonality. So this simple moving average has incredible properties. It's very simple to do, and it will locally preserve the straight lines, and it will also cancel the seasonality of period 4, so the quarterly seasonality. Okay. If you want now, if you think about that, and you say, okay, I'm not anymore in the quarterly case, I am in the monthly case, what should I do? Of course, I can do a similar thing, but instead of 4, I will have 12. Okay, so I can build some moving average, and this one, for example, which will be equal to 1 divided by 24. Here you have 2 times 4. So here you will have 2 times 12, 1 divided by 24, xt minus 6 plus 2xt minus 5 plus 2x minus 4, and so on up to the end. So this new moving average will preserve the straight lines and will also cancel the monthly seasonal component. So you see how it works now. If you give some properties to the moving average, you say, okay, I want to use a moving average that does this thing, this thing, this thing, and your constraints will be translated into constraints on the coefficients, and you can build your moving average. It looks complex, but it's incredibly powerful. Now, let me show you something. The third component is the irregular. So what I want to do, I cannot cancel the irregular. Why? Because simply the irregular is something like a random noise. So I cannot eliminate a random noise. The only thing that I can do is to reduce the size of a noise. Okay, and to reduce the size of a noise means that you want to reduce the variance of a noise. Okay, so let me imagine that this is so let us imagine that I have a sequence, I have a white noise, which is a sequence of random variables, epsilon sub t, with average equal to 0, which are not correlated to each other, and the constant with variance sigma 2. Okay, so if I do that with a moving average, if I transform it with a moving average of coefficients theta I, y, you saw I I'm not going to demonstrate it. It's not difficult. That you are going to transform the white noise in another noise, and the variance of a new noise will be equal to the variance of the first noise multiplied by the sum of the square coefficient of a moving average. So if the sum of the coefficient of a moving average is very small, then you will reduce a lot the noise. Okay, let me show you what it got. Let me show you something. Sorry, let me come back to my moving average. Okay, if I take, for example, this moving average, the moving average I was talking about a few minutes ago, I know that this moving average is going to preserve the straight lines, is going to cancel the seasonal component of period 4. So it's very suitable for the quarterly series. And now what will be its power of reduction, of noise reduction? It's not difficult. You have to compute the sum of a square coefficient, okay? So here you have 1 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 1. So it's 14, okay? 4 plus 4 plus 4, I just square them. 2 by 2, it's 4. 2 by 2, it's 4. 2 by 2, it's 4. So 12 plus 1 by 1, 1. So 13 plus 1 by 1, 1. So 14 divided by 64. Or 14 divided by 64, I do not know exactly how much it is, but I will do it and you will see it. 64, it's equal to 0.2, okay, roughly. So what you are going to do is that you are going to reduce the noise by 80%, by exactly 782%, okay, 78.2%, so roughly 80%. So this very simple moving average has incredible properties. It preserves locally the straight lines, it removes the quarterly seasonality, and it reduces the irregular by 80%, which is good, but you can do much better. We will see that, for example, later. We will see later that, for example, X12 is using composite simple moving average to estimate the seasonal component. And these moving averages are denoted 3 by 3, 3 by 5, 3 by 9, 3 by 15. What is a 3 by 5? A 3 by 5, for example, it's obtained by, you run a simple moving average of order 3, and on the result, you run a simple moving average of order 5, okay? So for example, another example, this moving average, this one, I will take the previous definition, this one is in fact a 2 by 4. So I run first this moving average of order 4, and I run after this moving average of order 2, okay? So my moving average here can be noted a 2 by 4. It's why are we doing this kind of very specific notation? It's because you have to come back in history. At the very beginning, before the 50s, people were already doing seasonal adjustment, and they were using moving averages. But if you want to do the computation should be very, very easy to do because you are going to do them by hand, okay? So that's why it's easy to do a 3 and then a 3 to iterate it. It's easier than to do directly a 3 by 3. So with this kind of coefficient. You see what I mean? It's easy to make a sum of 3 and to divide it by 3. It's easier than to perform this kind of computation. So they were used to compose, to make several very simple computation in a row. that's why these moving average have been chosen. So the 2x4 and the 2x12 are used to obtain, we will see that, a first estimation of a trend cycle, because you know that now. They remove the seasonal component for the first one for a quarterly series and the second one for a monthly series. So, and they reduce the noise and they preserve the straight lines. We will do a very simple example with Excel and you will see what's going on. So for example, if you take the computer, now would you look at the power of reduction of variance? Oh, if you look at all these moving averages, all of them are symmetrical. Because they are symmetrical and the sum of the coefficients is always equal to 1, so they will preserve, everyone will preserve the straight lines. And they will reduce the noise. For example, the 3x3 will reduce the noise by 77%, the 3x5 by 84%, the 3x9 by 90%, the 2x4, we saw it, I did the computation just before, by roughly 78%, and the 2x12, which is used in the monthly time series, by 92%. So it's huge. I mean, it's a very, very good moving average. So okay. In fact, I will explain you later a bit more, but not a lot. It turns out that this moving average, the 2x4 or the 2x12, are very good, but not good enough. They do not smooth the series enough, and the X12 is using what we call Anderson's moving averages, which are much more complex than the previous ones. The coefficients are incredibly more complex. So you can see they are the coefficients are very, very complex. So you cannot do the computation by hand. You must have a computer, okay. So they are, but these moving average have incredible properties in terms of smoothing. Okay, so now let me come I will do a very short example, very basic example with Excel. So you should have received the Excel file. It's not a big deal. I will just show you what a small example. So let me share. Let me go to my my example. I think it's there. Basic X11, I call it. So how can I increase the size? In Excel, there's no zoom include. See, there's a zoom in Excel, I guess. Yeah, it's there. No, it's not there. Okay. Doesn't matter so much. Let me show you what I did. Okay. So here, I took this example. I took the Singapore GDP in constant prices. So you have on the left, let me perhaps put it a bit, it's plus, sorry.
In Excel, you can do, there is the, okay.
Yes, there's something, but I do not remember where it is. You can
on the right corner at bottom.
Ah, yes, corner. Yes, I remember now. Yeah, I remember now. Let me remove this one because I do not like it. Yeah, it's there. Sorry. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so it's easier for me, this one. Okay, just I'm showing you. Okay, so this is the Singapore GDP. So you can do it. You will be able, just if you want to do the same thing for your own country, you will be able to replace this column providing that you have the same number of observations, which is basically the case for most of you. And you can just replace the figures and it will change all the computation. I mean, it should do something similar. So these are the raw data. Here you see, look at the, if you click on this, in this case, you will see here the formula I'm using. This formula is just the moving average. So it's just this value, so C2 plus two times C3 plus 2 times C4 plus 2 times C5 plus C6 divided by 8, okay? So I do this formula here and I compute all the things, okay? So I apply to the Singapore GDP, which is the raw data, I apply this very simple moving average to give a first estimation of a trend cycle. So if you go now just to have a look to the result, let me show you. So in blue, you have a straight curve, you have a raw data, so Singapore GDP, okay? And in orange, you have a trend cycle estimated by the moving average. You see that it looks very good, okay? It seems very, very good. But we do have some problems that you can notice immediately. We do not have any values for the end. Why? Simply because to compute my first moving average, I need 2 points in the past and 2 points in the future. So for the first value, I do not have the past. I do not have, I miss one past value, 2 past values. For this one, I miss 1 past values. And at the end of the series, it's the same. I have the same problem. When I go here, it's okay because I have the 2 future values here. But when I'm here for this date, so for Q2 2020, unfortunately, I do not have two values in the future. So I cannot compute my moving average. So this is one point we will have to solve, of course, because it's an important problem of the symmetric moving average. It's because you are going to miss some points at the end, okay? But you can see that it respects very well the trend. The trend you can imagine, it's very close, and it seems to, but the point is that we miss 2 observations at the end, which are, by the way, the most important observation for the short-term economic analysis, okay? So how can we do that? So I will come back on this file because after you can notice what I did. I did simply, I can explain. What I did is just, because I have a trend cycle, I can remove the trend cycle from the, I'm just doing the raw data minus the, sorry, I can make it a bit, I can just remove, do this value, the raw data minus the smoothed data, the trend cycle, and so I get an estimate of my seasonal irregular component. And after, I will explain that tomorrow in detail, so perhaps later. I will do another smoothing to get an estimate of a seasonal component. When I have a seasonal component, I will get the normalized seasonal component, and then, because I have a seasonal component, if I remove the seasonal component from my raw data, I will get the seasonally adjusted series. So if you look, I will explain that on the graph now. If you look to the graph, you will see that my gray curve is a seasonally adjusted series. So this is our result. It's a very basic adjustment, but you see where the problem is that you are missing a lot of points at the end, okay? So it's really a problem. Let me let me explain you what we can do now, okay, to solve this problem. So, as I mentioned, a symmetric moving average of order 2p plus 1, so for example, of order 5 with 2 points in the future and 2 points in the past, cannot give you any estimate for the p first point and the p last point. So the only choice you have is to use asymmetric moving averages at the end of a series. The point is that, as I mentioned it several times, the point is that if you do so, you will introduce some fast shift in the data. So you have to think about it. I'm not going to detail the computation. I could explain that in the next training, more advanced training. But you have to know that, for example, John Musgrave in '64 gave a solution which is used in X11 and its variants. So you have a solution, a complete solution, and the objective of a solution provided by Musgrave was to minimize the revision you will have at the end of a series. But nowadays, in complement of John Musgrave's solution, we are using forecast. So you do the following. You imagine that you are able to forecast the blue curve. And you take, for example, 1 or 2 years of a forecast. And after you apply the moving average on the blue curve plus the forecast, okay? And what you do after is just, and you will obtain, because you have a forecast, you will obtain values, estimates for the current points, for the last points of a series. Okay, so this is what is done by X11, and we perhaps in the second point of the morning, when we are going to work a bit more on that, I will use the forecast that we have for the Singapore GDP in the past and in the future to do another computation and to show you how it works exactly, okay? So I'm going to stop now for the time being, to stop now the lecture. If you have any question, I will be more than happy to answer to them if I can. If you don't have any question, we are going to come back to GD Plus and to work a bit with the software. So we can play a bit with the software. Look at, for example, Singapore GDP. And after we will use the Excel file to understand what's going on, okay? Do you have any question? So if you have question, please feel free to ask, okay? Is there any question?
No question at the moment.
You know, the objective of this kind of lecture, of course, is not for you to design moving averages and to do some research or whatever thing. It's just to give you a small idea about the way X11 and X13, the Irregular models and the decomposition by moving average is working. Just so you can get trust in the tool, some trust, because you see that it's not so complex. The basic ideas are really simple, and you will see that X11 is pretty simple. The problem, you can imagine very quickly the problem we will have. We use symmetric moving average. We are going to miss. We cannot make an estimation for the end of a series. We are using moving average, so they are very sensitive to outliers. And so you see, you begin to understand what's going on. At the beginning in the Irregular, I'm going to estimate the outliers and to correct from the outliers. So when I use my moving average later, they are not going to be polluted by the outliers. So you will improve the adjustment. With the Irregular model, you will also make forecasts. And so if you do forecast, then when you can use symmetric moving average, not only on the raw data, but on the forecasted data too. So it will give you a better estimate of your trend in the sense that you will get estimates for the last points of a series, which are the points that interest you the more. I mean, the current point. So you see, it's completely logical, in fact. And when you understand that, it's easier to manage the software. To manage, it's when you try to learn how to drive, I mean, it's important to know that you need to put some gas in the car. If you have no gas, it doesn't work. You must know that it's better to avoid the shoulders when you are driving because it's not done for that. So you see, you must know a couple of small things to feel more comfortable when you use the software, okay? So if you do not have any, but I understand it's a lot of information for you, a lot of information. I understand it will take time for you to recover, if I can say so, to think about it. And the best way is to do the exercise and to practice. And we are going to look at the details of X11 just once. You do not need to do that every time, just to understand how it works a bit, and that it's better. You feel more comfortable after. Any question? No? Still no question? Everyone is sleeping, or everyone is understanding, or just a bit fed up? No, is it okay? Okay, good.
I think okay.
Wonderful. So if you don't mind, I would like that you open JDemetra Plus, and we are going to work with the software. And you will see that you will open it very easily now, because we already did that twice, 2 days or 3 days, I do not remember, 3 days. So now it's almost natural for you. You open it, you load the data, you launch a seasonal adjustment. Come on, I mean, this is what you were, you are here to, so we already know how to do that after 3 days, and we still have, I do not remember, 6 days of work. So can you imagine where we will be in 6 days? It will be wonderful. Okay, let me open the software, if you have no question. Okay, donc if you remember well, last time I put a star, thanks to Siska, who gave me the tip. I put a star on my files, and so I do not have any more to load them. Each time I will open the software. When the star is there, the software will also load the data. Of course, when I'm finished to work with this data, I have to remove the star. So you remember what I said before? If you want to launch a seasonal adjustment, you have to go to statistical method, seasonal adjustment, multiprocessing new, okay? So here, I do not know what you have, but here I still have my default parameters, which are RSA5C. So we are going to play now, okay? So I will change it, and I will go back to RSR1, my favorite for quarterly data. So you have to, let me explain the strategies. Usually, my colleagues, my friends, prefer to go to the more important thing. So they take the more complex model, and then when they have the results, they try to simplify the model. This is
Sorry,
not
Dominique.
my, yeah?
Are you not sharing your
I
your
didn't share it.
JDemetra?
Oh,
Yeah.
oh yes. Sorry, I thought. I apologize. Yeah, sorry. I just came back to you and forgot to share the. Okay, so I will do it again. Sorry. I apologize. So I reopen GD Plus. Now you see my screen? Yeah.
Yes, I see that. Yes.
Wonderful. So I open my screen. You can do the same. I open the software. Here I have a series. And so I was saying that if you want to do a seasonal adjustment, you go to statistical method, seasonal adjustment, multiprocessing, new. Okay. And here you have to choose the default method you want to use. As I told you, I prefer for quarterly data to use the RSA1. My colleagues usually are using the more complex model, so the RSA5C. I do not like that because usually quarterly data do not have a lot of points because they are quarterly data, not because people are not working. But when you have 10 years of data, you only have 40 points, which is a lot. It's 10 years of work, but it's just 40 points. So if you have 40 points, your model should be very parsimonious because you do not have a lot of points to estimate a lot of parameters. My feeling is that I should start with a very parsimonious model. And it turns out that for quarterly data, my experience is that the RSA1 works pretty well. Let me remind you what is doing the RSA1. And for that, if you don't mind, I will go back to my slides, the slides I showed you the first day. So let me show you remind you the parameters. Here, so in this table, you have the parameters. So remember that the first part, as written here, is for thymocytes, and the second part is for X13 regarima. So you have here all the tasks that is supposed to do the regarima part and the decomposition part. So the basic task you have to do is to check for the transformation. Is my model additive or multiplicative? Look for possible trading day effect, which means a leap year effect, a working day, 2 regressors, or a trading day, 6 regressors. No, 1 regressor for working days, or 6 regressors for trading days. Possibly an Easter effect, which is not always evident for Asian countries, except for tourism, perhaps. And you look for outliers, and you will try to adjust also an ARIMA model on the series just to do the forecast. And you know now that the forecasts are used by X in the decomposition model, in the decomposition of the series into trend, seasonal component, and irregular, just to make use as much as possible of symmetric moving averages. So it's a lot of things. So you can ask for the more complete specification. So test for the transformation model, test for the leap year effect, test for calendar effects with 6 regressors, test for Easter effect, test for the outlier, and do an automatic adjustment of the model. You can do that. I will do that for long time, monthly time series. I won't do it for quarterly series. I prefer to do first RSA1, which this one. So I will just test for the model. Is it an additive or multiplicative model? No test for calendar effects, because my experience is that in quarterly data, you scarcely have a trading day effect. And here I will test for the presence of outliers. And if I do so, I will have the correct estimation of the true value, the real value. And after I will adjust this model. I'm not going, perhaps next week, if we have time, I will explain you a very short, small bit of ARIMA modeling. This model is called the airline model. For me, it's the best model for economic time series because it's very, very smooth and reactive. But anyway, so it's a very simple specification. Okay, so what I do usually is that for quarterly data, I use this specification. If everything is okay, I don't change anything. It's okay for me. If I have a problem somewhere, for example, residual trading day effects, I will go, for example, to RSA2C with a test on trading day effect, a short test. Okay, I could do that, or no. Okay. So this is my strategy. So let me come back to this to GD plus. So I will use RSA. Let me perhaps no, you are used now to do that. So I just have to put the data. Let me just use the quarterly data for this, and later we will focus on trade data. Okay. So if I do have all my my countries and all my breakdown of the GDP by industry in current prices and constant prices. So basically all the data you have, and I run them. Okay. So you can see that usually it's pretty good. Okay. You have a very rough idea of the quality on the right. Okay. So what you should do when you are doing the job, I will come back on the severe later, okay? But usually most of them are good, okay? You have severe, we will discuss that a bit later. So it gives you a good idea. So let me go to Singapore because we were working on Singapore in the Excel file. Singapore, and it was by in constant prices. So it's this one. It's the GDP in constant prices. Okay. So if you remember, I don't know, you are not supposed to remember everything, but here you have in this graph, on the left, you have two graphs here. I like them very much. I already told you, and I will try to learn you how I interpret these graphics. So here you see that you have a trend. I guess here is the trend. So you see that it's very smooth, and it's going straight here, which is we will discuss that later. No, I can discuss it right now. It's going straight. So it's strange because you see that the seasonally adjusted series is going down. Why is it so? It's because we will have a look to the results. So the series has been log transformed. So the program considers that this series is a multiplicative series, which makes sense because if you look at the beginning, the seasonality looks very small and seems to increase a bit with time, okay? So it's correct to suspect a multiplicative model. I have no trading day effect, no Easter effect, because I do not ask for them, and I have one detected outlier. Let us have a look to the outlier. If I want more detail, I will go to pre-processing. Here I have more detail on the model. So forget about, at this moment, forget about all these statistics. Here, as I told you, I ask for an ARIMA model, this airline model. Here you have a transitory change, which is at the end. Okay. And if you remember, but perhaps you do not remember, so I will look for another, c'est pas celui-là, sorry. Let me check for the other presentation, which was outliers and calendar effects, I guess. And in this presentation, I show you here this table, which is an important table. When you have various kind of outliers, you must know where this outlier was put by the software. So if you have an additive outlier or a temporary change, you will put it in the irregular, okay? Not in the trend cycle. So here we do have a serious question. The question is, if I go back to is this point a turning point in the economy? In this case, it should be the trend. Or is it only an accident? Is it only an additive outlier or transitory change? And in this case, I should put it in the irregular as it is right now. Okay? So we cannot answer to this question now because we do not have any evidence on the future. We should have more data, or we should have monthly data to infer what is going to arrive, to what will be the future of this point. I don't know, but usually in Singapore, you already know what's going on, what went on last quarter in 2020. So you should know already. But and because you know some things, you could change a bit this thing. So I will show you how to change them because it's interesting. To do that, I will replicate this thing. I will do another adjustment. Okay, so I will do exactly the same thing in another panel just for the purpose of comparing things, of comparison. Okay, so I do exactly the same thing. I run it. So you can do it if you want with me, or you can just look at the demonstration. Okay, Singapore. Constant price. Here is okay. So here I have no problem. I have exactly, of course, exactly the same results, of course. So now let me do a couple of things. And so I will be able to compare this graph to the previous one, which is, okay, at the moment they are obviously the same. Okay, so now let me change a thing. For example, I will say, I do not like transitory changes. I told you that they are scarce and I do not like to estimate them. So let us imagine that I remove it. So perhaps I should use the zoom. Okay, so if you look, when I click on specification, I open a new window with this window, and you can see that in outliers previously the box transitory change was ticked on. So I untick it, okay, and I say I'm going to run the adjustment, okay. So apply. So it's done, and you see that a lot of things change, if I can say so. In particular, yeah, I have to come back to the zoom is not very easy to work with. So So you should perhaps try to, where is the zoom?
Just control minus, Mr. Dominic.
It's always
control minus. Windows
really,
minus, I mean.
Yeah, it's really not
Windows
easy
minus.
to work with. Yeah. Not sure it works very well. I don't know what is it. It is. I'm sorry. I don't know what's doing this stupid Zoom on my computer. Sorry, guys. I don't know what to do now.
Windows icon and minus.
Yeah. Voilà, minus. No, it doesn't work well. I'm so sorry to. No, it's a nightmare, this stupid thing. I don't know where I am. Nobody knows now. Sorry. I'm really sorry that I should see my it's there. No, it's not this one. So I don't. No, it's very on my computer. At least it doesn't work. It's a stupid horror. I don't
know. Press together Windows icon and minus.
Yes, I do that. I do that since
okay.
I'm still doing it, you see, but it doesn't work. I do not have access right now to my. No, it's not. It's very, very bad, this kind of. Let me click on that. Perhaps it will show you. No, I do not have access anymore to the. It's too bad, really. I should not use it. It's a nightmare.
Perhaps, can you escape?
Yeah?
Press escape?
Yes, I tried, but it doesn't work. Nothing works. No, it's just a nightmare. So I will shut down GD+. I will come back. I don't know what is. No, it's a nightmare. This. I'm really sorry about that. I don't know what to do. I see nothing now. I have access to. I don't know. It doesn't work. It doesn't work.
Let's try again.
No,
the Windows icon.
I will never use it again. It's too bad. No, I mean it doesn't work. It depends on the computer. I understand. I understand. It's usually a good tip, but on my computer it doesn't work. That's it. It's obvious, no? So I don't know what to do. I don't know. I'm done. Here is perhaps the loop. Yeah, finally I found it. No, come on. It was there. It's not. Come on.
That's right.
No, it was down, but the loop is there, but it disappeared. So here it is. I hate that. I should perhaps close it. Yeah.
Finally.
Yeah, finally. So, sorry, I will never use it again. Okay. It's too disturbing. So what I was saying is that, okay, we are now in the second. Okay, so the only thing I changed, if you remember, was to remove the transitory changes. I said I do not want anymore to check the transitory changes. So something happened. And I have now two outliers. So the transitory change was changed into two outliers, and I guess they are I will check, they are additive or level shifts. Two additive outliers. Okay, so you should not use transitory changes because they are very scarce and certainly not what happens here. So you see, let me compare now between, you see here the trend. Because the outliers are additive outliers, they are still in the seasonally, in the irregular. So they are part of the seasonally adjusted figures, are not part of the trend cycle. So now if I go back to the previous execution, you can see that you have an impact on the trend cycle. Here, the trend cycle is pretty stable. In the second thing, the trend cycle is going a bit up. Okay, so you do have an impact. It's pretty sensitive, but you do not know at this time of the economy, at this time. So if you do not have other values, you do not know what's going on at the moment. You do not know. So one recommendation from the Eurostat and the ECB is for the moment when you do not have enough observation is to suppose that you have only additive outliers at the end. I will explain in the more advanced course why we should do that. So here at the moment, we are using additive outliers as recommended by the Eurostat and the European Central Bank. You could try to change things. For example, you could say, let me show you, I don't ask you to do that, but you could say, okay, now, just an hypothesis, I'm not saying it's true. Now, let me suppose that I do have a downturn in the economy. So this should be part of a trend cycle, okay? So this one, which is the second quarter of 2020, should be a level shift and not an additive outlier. So you can do that with pre-specified outlier. You can enter your own specification. So I will do it. I will do it in essay processing too. So I write that. When I click on the right part of pre-specified outlier, you see that I have a new window, and I will say that my second point in I'm right here. It's Q2. The Q2 is a level shift. Okay, so I will go in 2020. I will ask for frequency 4. So I have 2020, Q2 is a level shift, okay? I can do that, it's just to show you the possibilities. So I did it, and now I should have here, sorry, what's going on? Let me check if I have it. No, yes, it is a level shift, so it's done. And now I can, why do, it's not done on my, sorry, I do not see it on my, yes, it is here. Okay, so when it is here, I can apply it. So look at what's going on here. So here, the trend is going up, okay? But now, if I say that I want a level shift in the second quarter, the level shift, if any, will be put in the trend cycle. So it could change quite a lot of things. Okay, you see? Now the trend is down, okay? It's completely different. So you are going to tell me, yes, but which one is the best one? At the moment, you have absolutely no idea of what is the best one. Is it with the level shift? Is it with the additive outlier? It has a huge impact, of course, on the seasonally, on the trend cycle. but it has absolutely no impact on the seasonally adjusted figure. It has absolutely no impact on the very little impact on the seasonally adjusted data. So from the point of view of a seasonal adjustment, you should use, in this kind of occasion, you should use additive outliers. It will give you perhaps a stupid trend, but it has no impact on the seasonality, on the seasonally adjusted figure. Okay, so you see that you change very little things when you do or you do not include the level shift. So it was just to show you that it's possible to make some correction of the specification and to use over specification for your series, because in some occasion the default specification is not very good. So what I can do also, just to show you again the possibilities of GD+. So I told you that I'm not going to use transitory changes, and I told you that I will do, I redo what I did, so I will pre-specify a level shift, just to show you the other possibilities of, so I put here a level shift, okay, so done, and I will see it here, so it's there, okay. Pre-specify outlier, I will have my level shift. So I do it exactly. I did it before, it's done. Now let me show you the possibilities of GD+. I can compare the trend cycle going from one window to the other, which is not very nice. So I can do a graph. So I will open a graph, a chart. Okay, so this is my chart. Here I will put the trend cycle. So this is the trend cycle for the second. So with the level shift, you see, with the level shift. And I will go here and put the trend cycle. So I put the trend cycle, I take it, I put it there. And now I should have the two on the same graph. Let me, okay. So you can see that the trend is not affected in the past, a bit or very little, but it's very different at the end, okay? So now what is the impact on the seasonally adjusted series? So I will remove everything. So to remove things, I think the best is to remove them. So I remove them, and I will use now the seasonally adjusted figures. So here it's I will make it a bit larger. So the seasonally adjusted figure. No, this is the raw data, this one. Always the raw data. Sorry, I have some difficulties here to select the seasonally adjusted series. It's there. Of course, I can do something different. I will show you later. Okay, so this is for the first one, so with the transitory change. And here I will take the second one. So here on this graph, you have the two seasonally adjusted figures. So as I told you, the choice between a level shift and an additive outlier does not impact at all the seasonally adjusted figures. It can impact it very little, but it doesn't impact it. So if your objective is the seasonally adjusted figures, it doesn't matter. If your objective is the trend cycle, it's another story, but we are here in seasonal adjustment. Okay, so it's just to show you this kind of facility. So what we are going to do a short break now. And after the break, I propose that we do together an exercise. So we will do the same exercise for everyone, but on your country. Okay. So you could take, I guess, we have a trade statistic for every country present. So we will use trade statistics. Okay. And do the same exercise, but each of you will do it on its own country. Okay. What do you want? What do you think, Siska? Is it okay for you?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Agree.
So okay. So we do a short
Dominique?
break. Leah, yeah.
Yeah, actually for the GDP data, there are only 8 countries because
Yeah.
Laos and
Yeah.
Cambodia, they don't have
Yeah,
quarterly. So they
that's
can
why.
choose another country for them to play, yeah?
But we do have a trade statistic. We do
Oh,
have a
for trade.
quarterly. We
Oh,
do
yeah, they
no,
have for the trade, they have the quarterly, but
okay.
for the
So
GDP, they don't have.
yeah, we will use the trade statistic for the exercise. Okay. It's just an
Okay,
exercise with GD plus. We are not going to check the quality of the adjustment. It's just to play with the software. You see, to change the specification, to move from a level shift to an additive outlier, the reverse, to see the impact on the trend, the impact on the seasonally adjusted data. It's just to play with the software. So there's no objective of doing the best adjustment we can. Okay. We just playing, doing some scales, and we will work on the quality from starting Monday, probably. Okay.
Okay.
And we will, on Monday, we will start with a quality, I guess, quality report, how to judge the quality, what is my experience, my own practice to do that. And I will show you what I do, and we will perhaps do the same for each country. And after we will try, of course, we have a 486 time series. Of course, it would be stupid to go through. We have no time to go through everything, but I will show you a lot of things, how to save the results, how to make eventually an automatic quality report and so on. Okay, so first time, a short break for, let us say, 10 minutes or 15 minutes. And after we do an exercise, a complete exercise. Okay?
Okay.
Okay,
wonderful.
yeah.
So see you in 15 minutes, let us say at 5:45.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, wonderful. See you.
See you.
Cheers.
Hi, Dominique.
Hi. How are you? How do you feel? You feel good now? I mean, for the training, is it okay?
Yes, yes.
It's
We
a bit
found that this. Pardon?
No, please.
Yeah, we found that the training is easy to follow. We discussed internally with our colleague. It's easier for us to understand. Yeah,
Okay,
the way.
wonderful. Yeah, wonderful. This is the objective. It was the command to have something pretty basic, not a lot of technical details. Perhaps in the advanced course, we will do more theory. But I mean, I hope all the people will be comfortable with the software at the end. I'm pretty sure.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure they can already adjust most of the quarterly series, at least the GDP for the people who have GDP. But I guess it seems to me that you are more interested in trade statistics. Are you or not?
I'm the person in charge for trade statistic, and Fatur, the person in charge for SNA.
Okay. So, okay, it will be time soon. Yeah, yes. It's time anyway. Everyone is there, you think?
Yeah, I think.
Okay, so we can start when you want. It's important that everyone is there because just after if we start together, it will be okay. You know, I will put the oh! Oh! The first question was difficult. In fact, if I comment the results of a sample, of a pool, in fact, no, all of them do not remove a quarterly seasonality. In fact, just one of them removes a quarterly seasonality, which is the third one, 1/8, 1/4, 1/4, 1/4, 1/8. The first one remove seasonality of order 3, the second one of order 5. So it doesn't make sense, this one. But anyway, too bad. It's not. But it's
answer correctly.
It's not too serious. Okay. So shall we start?
Yes.
Wonderful. So the objective now is to work on your data. Okay. So I will close GD plus. I won't change anything. And I will reopen now GD plus. Please do it if
Sorry,
you.
Dominique, can you share?
Share
your.
Okay, I will share something. I share. Sorry, I forget. I forget every time. Okay, so now the objective is to work on the trade statistic because, as far as I know, every country can find its own series in the Excel file. So we open now the software. If you have used already the star, you should have the first file is the trade statistics, so we will use it. So remember, statistical method, seasonal adjustment, multiprocessing, new. Okay. Before you do the computation and you introduce the data, you have to change the specification. So you take the RSA1, which is the simplest. Okay. and you can put, for example, the trade statistic in them. So you should have roughly, you should have 291 series in this file, okay? So I can run and you will run things, okay? So of course the quality is perhaps not as good as it was before with GDP, certainly because, we will check that and don't worry about it, but certainly because of a level of classification, breakdown and things like that. When you are at the low level of a classification, it's always a bit more tricky. Oh no, we do not have here, sorry, I'm stupid. This is ASEAN series, only ASEAN series, this one. No, Siska?
Yes.
So we won't find the series for the people, for the various countries. Sorry, my mistake. So it doesn't matter. For the exercise, you can take either the GDP or the trade statistic, whatever you want. You can play with the software. So the basic idea is to choose a series, whatever is the series, and to play with one series and changing some specification and to see the impact on the trend cycle on the seasonally adjusted series, okay? So the basic idea is that you do two seasonal adjustment processing. So the first one, I did it, okay? I will open a new seasonal adjustment processing. So doing a new seasonal adjustment, multi-processing new, okay? I will change. I will go back to RSA1, okay? And now I will put, so I do exactly the same at the moment in the 2SR processing, okay? I'm doing exactly the same adjustment. So of course I have no problem. I should have exactly the same results. So what I would like to do now is that I know that I have exactly the same results, okay? So anyway, I will prepare my chart to compare the two adjustments, okay? So do as I do. I will use tool, container chart. So I am opening a new chart, okay? So in this chart, I will put my series, the series I want to compare between the two seasonal adjustments. I repeat, I know they are exactly the same at the moment, okay? I know that, but I will change them later, okay? So let us take something. You took what you want, okay? You took exactly what you want. Perhaps in the first thing you could take the one the same than me, but it doesn't matter. Okay, so you can take. Okay, I will take. I don't know. Which one do you want to take, Siska? Do you have a preferred series?
84.
84, okay. 84, it's
nuclear.
I guess it should be very, very, you have a lot of exports of nuclear reactors, boy. No, it's okay. If you want 94, we will take 94. So at the moment, you see, I will just check the series itself. Yes, you have a lot of. Okay, wonderful. So, okay, this is the series we are going to use, okay? So in the 2SR processing, I will use, for example, the trend, just to compare the trend on the seasonally adjusted series. So you saw that in this morning, I was just I took one series in the graph and drag and drop it in the next chart. Okay, so I can do that. I can also find the series themselves in the main results and table. If you do that, main result table, you will find the series. Okay, you will find so the numbers, the raw data, the seasonally adjusted series, the trend, and the seasonal. So if I want, I can play with them. So you see that I have my chart here. There's a difference doing the two, okay? So here I have a chart, the seasonally adjusted figures of the second SR processing. I can put it there, okay? So I do have it. Let me know if you succeed to do that or if you fail to do that. Yeah, is it okay for everyone? Okay, so I have, let me check what's going on. I do not see the, so there's nothing in the chat? No?
Yes,
okay, so I cannot see. Yeah, what is the question, Siska? I cannot see it. In the chat, I do not see the chat.
I will read it for you from Cambodia colleague. This is the question in the YouTube. If we have only that time of data in simply format, then we must make it to series data manually. Is JDemetra will not manage the right format data for user? That's the first question.
Can you repeat the question? If we
have only that time of data in simply format, then we must make it to a series data manually.
I do not understand what the, can you write it in the chat? Can you just, because I do not see, it's in the YouTube. Yeah.
Already in the chat box.
Because in the chat, I do not see anything. Oh, yes, I see it now. So, excuse me, I see it now. If we have only that time of data in simply format, what does it mean? That time of data in simply format, what does it mean?
Maybe if we want to import the data that is the raw data not yet being modified. So I think is so we need to modify the.
I'm not sure I understand, but right now we just work with Excel files, okay? You can work with other files, but we work for the training with Excel files. You must absolutely have a date variable in Excel. Excel allow for that variable. You put a format, a date format. You can change the date format as you want. You can put it, but you must have one. If you do not have a date variable, JDemetra cannot know which is the series and which is the date variable, okay? It's impossible. So you must have it. JDemetra is not going to check every possible format. You cannot imagine the number of formats that can exist. Someone will put in one row the year, in the second row the number of a quarter, another one will take the year Q1, the year Q2, someone will take Q1 year, Q2 year. It's impossible. So you must have that variable. For sure, you must have it. If you do not have it, it's done, okay? So what is after the second question? No, so the answer is no. JDemetra Plus will not manage the right format data for user. No, the user has to put the date format in the correct thing. I mean, any date format will be okay. Any that time format, but it must be an Excel date. Okay. What is the solution if you want to forecast each monthly or even the quarterly? Not sure I understand the question. If you have quarterly data, you can just forecast quarterly data. At the moment, we don't use monthly data, but if you have monthly data in JD+, of course, JD+ will forecast the monthly data. So I'm not sure I understand the question. If you have monthly data, you will get monthly forecast. If you have quarterly data, you will get quarterly forecast.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
So the chat was in a specific window. That's why I didn't see it. Okay, wonderful. So here, so I take from the table in main result the value of a seasonally adjusted figure. I can do exactly the same for SA processing 1. So remember that for SA processing 2, we selected, if I remember well, the exports. The exports of 84, okay? So exports 84, I have to select exactly the same series. 84 nuclear reactors, okay? So I do have here my results. I know I will take the table and I will take the seasonally adjusted figures and put them here. Of course, I do have exactly the same things, okay? For sure, because I didn't change anything. Okay, so now let me show you how to proceed. If everyone has the chart, I will just change something in the SA processing 2. So let me check with you the results of the SA processing 2. So the estimation span is up to the last quarter of 2020, 44 observations, 2 detected outliers, no transformation, so it's working in levels. So if you have a look, by the way, if you have a look to the right graph, the graph of the seasonal coefficients, you can see that you have negative values and positive values. It's because the model is additive, so the seasonality is centered around 0 when it was centered around 1 for a multiplicative model. So here you have your data, you have a multiplicative model, additive model, okay? So no Easter effect, and you have, if I do not, you have 2 detected outliers. You can see the outliers. I will put small, I will reduce the size of a graph for the time being. Okay, I will come back later to it. It should be there. You see, I can see it on the left. Okay. So I will just look at the results. At the moment, it's exactly the same. So the summary is good. Let me just comment the results. The residual of the model ARIMA is okay. Outliers uncertain. It means that we have 2 outliers, and just JD+ is sending a warning when there's too many outliers. But it's not a big deal at the moment. We just have outliers at the end of the series, which is normal due to the circumstances, due to the COVID-19 crisis. So here we do have F-test and seasonal adjustment for the trading day. It seems that you have a residual trading day, a small one, but not on the irregular. We will see that later. And you have no residual seasonal component at the end. Okay, so perfect. Let me look at the pre-processing with you. So for the pre-processing, we can see that we have two outliers. One is an additive outlier in the second quarter, and we have an additive outliers in the last quarter of 2020. The two are really highly significant, and they are negative, okay? So we have all these things, it looks good. So what could I change now, just for the sake of exercise? Okay, I have a suspicion, a very small suspicion, to be honest, it's not a big deal, but you have a warning that you might have eventually a residual trading day effect in your series. Okay, let me think a bit. We try to think about the nature of the data. Could we have a trading day effect in exports? I would say, without knowing the series, without knowing the specificities of the ASEAN, I would say it could be, because as far as I know, exports are an administrative process in most countries. So it's a registration. So it's likely that you might have a less administrative process during the weekend, because people are not working, or perhaps less people are working during the weekend. You see what I mean? Is it right? Is it a good hypothesis, Siska? What do you think? Why should we have trading day effects in the export series?
Yeah, I think because yeah, the trade processing is sometimes using the as you said.
Okay. So let us see if we have if we can detect any trading day effect. So my first idea would be to say, okay, let me try to see if I have a difference between the weekends and the weekdays and the weekend days, okay? So let us see if we have this kind of effect. So I'm still in SA processing 2, okay? So I will change my specification, okay? So I click on the box specification, which is on the top right of the panel. And I go, you see, in regression. You can see it. I'm not going to use the zoom anymore. So you have now to see it. You have a regression part. Do not hesitate to send an email to a message to Siska if you have some difficulties, okay? So here you have calendar. I click on the plus and appear trading days on Easter. I click on trading days, and at the moment I have none because I'm using the RSA1 specification that requires no estimation of trading day effect. So I do not ask for anything. So I will change it. I click on none. I will say default, okay? When I click on default, I have other things that happens. In particular, I have a TD specification. Trading days means that I'm using the 6 contrast, number of Monday, minus number of Sundays, and so on. So I will change it and I will go to working days. Working days is in fact what you test the fact that the days of the week, Monday to Friday, are different, have a different behavior than the weekend days, okay? This is what you are going to test here. So I do change my specification and I can say apply now. Everyone is okay? You do not have any request, Siska?
No, at the moment.
Okay, so I assume that everyone is following. So I click on apply. I click on apply. So something happened or not. And in fact, if you look at the results, you see that there's still no trading day effect, but there's no trading day effect, but very surprisingly, I ask for a model, a specific model. The result is not significant, but you can see that if I'm not wrong, let me restore the result. Before I have an additive model with minus and plus here, an additive model. And when I ask for a trading, to look for a trading day effect, working days, if I apply it, you can see that the series has been log transformed. So I change things. In fact, when I ask for that, I'm changing the model. So it's very disturbing to see that, okay? But you have to understand that the more complex the model, the more unstable the model. We do not have a lot of observations. So the best is certainly to decide if I am going to use an additive adjustment to decide for most of the parameters. So you have to decide if you are going to use an additive or multiplicative adjustment. Okay. In these times, I would recommend to use a multiplicative one. I cannot explain completely why. The reason is pretty technical, but I would prefer a multiplicative one in these very difficult times. But anyway, so if I look at the results, certainly that things have changed. So let me see no, nothing has changed. Usually the two the series should change because I do not have I do not use the same model, so I should have different things. Let me check anyway. So I am in essay processing 2. It's curious that nothing changed. It should change. Usually it is interactive. So when something changes somewhere, immediately in the graph, something should change. So let me try to find something more difficult to see the difference. So yeah, it's very, very funny to change doesn't change anything. Well, I'm a bit puzzled. I should see some differences. Let me look at the table. So here is the table with seasonally adjusted figures. So if I restore, it should change things. Yes, it changed things slightly. So let me come back again let me change again and ask for the working day adjustment. Okay, it's done. So I apply. So here, look at the first seasonally adjusted figures is 33,419. So if I apply, it's 33,409. So I have a slight difference, but very, very few differences. Very few. That's why I do not see it in the graph. Very, very few differences between the two models. So, but by the way, when I ask for a trading day, I see that I have no trading day. They are not significant, and it doesn't change anything except the model. So it's very curious. I'm not going to explain that. I have no serious explanation. But as it doesn't really change the model, I will go back because it doesn't make sense to still work with a model with a working days when you have no working day, okay? So the conclusion is that I will accept that. I will accept that I have no trading day effect. By the way, if I choose a multiplicative model, the F test for trading day is good now when it was not very good, uncertain before. So for me, it's okay. So I would change slightly the model and that's it. But anyway, it was not exactly what I intended to do. I would like to show you some differences and I did not succeed because you do not have any difference. Anyway, what can I do now? Perhaps changing the series. Okay, try to do the same kind of job with another series. You see what I mean? You try to, for example, to test if you have a trading day effect. So you choose, you remember what I did? You choose, you choose in the regression, you modify the calendar option. In trading day, you click on no, let me come back, okay. So you have here no calendar effect. You ask for no calendar effect. So I'm telling you, try to change things and to see if you have calendar effect somewhere. So when you have none, you click on it, you go to default, and in the trading day specification, you look for working days only, okay? And you apply that. And you try to do that for several things, the series you want, either the quarterly series or either the GDP series or the trade statistic series. Okay, you do that and you open a graph and you try to compare the seasonally adjusted series. Okay, so I give you perhaps 5 or 10 minutes to do the job and you report to Siska if you have any comment. Okay, any difficulties to do that. So I repeat what I want last time. You perform 2 seasonal adjustments exactly the same, okay? And in one of the two, for one series, you change some specification around the trading day specification, and you see if you do have a difference. And if you have a difference, you represent on the same graph the differences. Is it okay, Siska, the exercise?
Yes, okay.
Okay.
Mm-mm.
So try to do it.
I will. Next 27. Yes. Dominic, there's a question from Indonesia.
Yeah, I saw the question, yeah, about the M statistics. In fact, we will, I did, up to now, I didn't talk about M statistics. It's a quality diagnostics to see if the adjustment is okay. So we will answer to the question only tomorrow or Monday, okay, when I'm going to talk about M statistics. Okay, so it's a bit premature.
Okay.
Not,
What if I found that when I apply the trading days, the working days, and then the result is changing, that the trading days affect two variables, then how to find it?
do you have the example itself? For example, do you have the series?
Product 27.
27?
Yeah, minerals.
With the exports?
The total.
The total, okay. I cannot answer without looking at the data.
Okay.
Never trust a statistician who answers to you without looking to the data, okay? Never trust. Okay, so this is the data. This is this one, mineral fuels and so on, okay? And so I will, okay, I will try to give you a complete answer if I can. I should not be so arrogant because I didn't see the problem, but I will try to complete my answer to give you. So I will select it in the two. So it's. So it's total 27. Okay. So the chart is the right one, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. So it's really interactive. Okay, so now what you are saying is that if you change the calendar specification, so for example, you ask trading day, known, you move to working days, and you say yes, apply. You have, in fact, you have two variables, okay? So let me first look at the impact on the series. You can see, it seems that you have some impact. You see now the graphs are slightly different, okay? Okay, so you have a difference and we have to investigate, okay? So the best, if I look just at the data, at the results, you see that here, the green data, which are, I guess, I do not remember if it's two or which one it is, but anyway, one of the two data is smoother than the other at the beginning, and it is the opposite at the end, okay? So you do not know exactly what to think about it. So let me go. Let me give you a complete answer. What I would do in this, okay, in this very so if I look without the trading day effect, so SR processing one, I still have one outlier. The outlier doesn't change, I guess. Excuse me. The outlier is a level shift in the second quarter of 2020. Okay, so if I go to the other one, SR pre-processing, to have a look to the, okay. So what do I have? It means that when you have a weekday, the sign of a coefficient for the weekdays is slightly positive, it's significant and positive, okay? Which makes sense. If you have one weekday more in the week, you have more, the series is higher. If it's a registration administrative process, it makes sense. So it's a good thing, okay? It's a good sign. So now what I would do for me, say first is to talk with the people to know if it makes sense really to have this kind of effect. So probably people are going to tell me yes. How to check that? You can, for example, go to the monthly data and see if you have a working day effect, you will see it more clearly in the weekly data than in the monthly data than in the quarterly data. So you could confirm this hypothesis. This is the first thing. The second thing is that I am going to look at a very specific and very curious diagnostic. You see that I'm going to decomposition X11, quality measures. Just for Daisy, she was looking at the M statistics, and we can see we have very bad statistics, it's red, so we will see next week how to deal with that. But I would like to go to details. And in details, you have a table I like very much, which is this one. This one. The relative contribution of the components to the stationary portion of the variance in the original series. So what does it mean? It means that you have, it's complex. The seasonal component is very weak, 1.88, and the trading day effect is pretty weak, 1.11. So the choice is the following. So the two effects, either the seasonal component and the trading day component, are really, really tiny. So they do not explain a lot of the variation in the series. So what I would do in this case is that I would first check if my series is seasonal, but it's another story because the seasonality is very small. So I should see if my series is seasonal first. So I will have a look. So it's not seasonal, okay? So I should not seasonally adjust it, but I could eventually try to correct from calendar effects, okay? So my conclusion in this case will be the following. The statistical test gives me a significant trading day effect between the weekdays and the weekend. It's not a big one. Obviously, it's not a big one because it explains very little of the variance of the series, in the variation in the series. So my conclusion will be the following. If I have an economic rationale behind it, I will keep it. Okay. If I do not have any rationale behind, I will probably drop it because I want to have a model as parsimonious as possible because I do not have a lot of observation. So now it will be my first opinion. The second opinion is that my working day effect, if any, okay, it is statistically significant, but it is very small. So is it very stable? So I could try to check if it's stable. So I have here something which is called, let me check, trading days. Yeah. So the trading days is really, really, really small. You see, you have here the impact. You see, it's moving, it's small, but it's moving. It's moving quite a lot. So I'm a bit disturbing here. My regression coefficient is moving, is small, okay, but it's moving and it's not very stable. It's moving from 2 up to 1.25. So it's not very, very stable. So I do not like it very well. So so I would, from my perspective, in this quarterly series, I won't take it into consideration. And it will be a good choice because of the following. Your series is not seasonal. Okay, all the tests are saying that the series is not seasonal. So you should not seasonally adjust it. If you do not seasonally adjust it, and if you accept that you have a calendar effect, you will really have to calendar adjust it. And it will be a huge difficulty in the production system to say, I want it adjusted, but I do not want it seasonally adjusted. It will be tricky to do that. But anyway, so do you understand my my answer, Siska?
Mhm.
No,
Yes.
you, yeah. So
Yeah.
in this case, the point is that both components, but especially the working day, because this is the one we are talking about, the working day component, if any, is very, very small, okay? It's small because it explains only a little of a variation in the series. It's small, and perhaps it has a rationale, but it is small and it is not stable. My regression analysis does not give me a stable result. So the coefficient is moving pretty a lot, okay, with time. So I won't rely, my idea is that I won't rely in this estimation. Perhaps I do have a working day effect, but I'm not sure it's good enough. The estimate is good enough. So I won't take a chance to take it. It doesn't change a lot of things in the series, by the way. It changes things. I'm not saying it doesn't change anything, you see. But when I look, I have a look to the series. To be honest, I'm not going to change a lot the diagnostic, the economic diagnostic with the two series, especially because you will never see the two series, okay? So I will probably stay with a series without any trading day effect. Because it is very small and it is unstable. I do not have enough observation, even if I have a rationale behind. I would have probably a different interpretation if I have monthly time series. But we will see that next week because we will have this series in a monthly basis, yeah? In the file you gave me, we have this series also. No? I know we
Yes.
do not have it. We have a global series, okay. So do you understand my answer?
Yes.
You know, just to finish perhaps for today, we already did a lot of things today. You have to know that I'm coming from a very specific region in France, which is called Normandy. And in Normandy, people are supposed to never say yes or no. So if you ask me a question, the answer will be always a bit complicated. So I will say yes, but no. Or no, but yes. It's in my, it's in my ADN. I cannot do anything else than telling you very curious answers. But
Can
basic
I
common
ask one more
sense.
question, Dominique?
Yeah, please.
So, if I have a series, before I do anything, before I apply the trading days? Is it a suggestion, or is it the first time we do is to check if the series is already having seasonality or not before we adjust the series? So we have to check. We have to check the.
Okay, we will see that probably Monday. When Monday, I will explain you how I do my my evaluation of the quality of the adjustment. If I do have a series, what I'm going to do if I want to seasonally adjust. So the first thing, of course, you're right, will be to look to see if the series is seasonal or not. But you can understand very easily that it's impossible to do the job on. At the moment, we are learning the software. So we are doing a lot of things with the graphical interface, just to make you at ease with the software. But obviously, I have 291 series, okay? I'm not going to do the same job by hand on the 300 series. It's impossible. It will take me a lot of time. So I will show you, starting Monday, how to do what we call an annual campaign, so a global campaign to check the series themselves. In fact, just to give you an idea of what we are going we saw all the 291 series. So I'm not going to look to each other at the beginning. I will check something like that. I will go to this kind of matrix. You see, I click on the matrix here, and here I have a lot of things. In particular, I will show you how to ask for calendar effects, and you will have all the results for all the series in this file, in this matrix. And so you could check very quickly what are the series with problems, what are the series with calendar effects, what are the series with seasonality test or not. Here, for example, you have some tests on the seasonal component and things like that, and you have the M statistics here. So I will show you how to do the job when you have a large bunch of data, okay? So forgive me, but this week was devoted mainly on the use of the graphical interface. So we are studying one series after the other, and you will see next week how to deal with a lot of time series, okay? In particular, I will show you how to construct automatically a specification I can apply to everyone, to every series. I can do it, by the way. I can do it now if you don't mind, just to finish. So it's just a demonstration. I have 10 minutes more, so I can do it. I will show you what if I want to test the calendar effects for all the series here, and not one by one, okay? So I will do that now. Okay, look at what do not try to do it again, but look at what I'm doing. So I go to something which is called seasonal adjustments, specifications, X13. So here I could perhaps try to use the zoom. I don't like it, but I should perhaps do it. Let me try again.
Be careful.
Oh, no, I won't. I hate it. Okay. So here we are using ISR1.
Yeah.
Let us imagine that I want to still use ISR1, but I want to test the working day hypothesis. So I will clone my specification. Okay. So I have a clone. I will open the new one. I will change the calendar regression. So I will say for trading day, I will use the default one, and I will use the working days. Exactly what I did for one series, but instead of doing that for all series, I'm creating a new specification. And now I'm going to say, okay, statistical method, seasonal adjustment, multiprocessing, new. I will use this new specification, okay? I will put all my data in this window. I will adjust them. So now you see I did the job. And now I can go in summary, not summary, matrix, calendar, and I can see which are the series that might have a calendar effect, okay? So here you see, it's very, very powerful, of course. Here I see, for example, that series exports for the 227 mineral fuels, and no, for the 27, sorry, you have, we knew it, this is exactly what you said, but it's very small, you see, the leap year, it's very small, the t-statistic is close to 2, so it's very, very close to the limit. And is it the only one? No, certainly not. I have another one here, which is very close and probably not of the right sign. And I can go through. So I have, let us say I have perhaps, I will say 10 series out of 300 with a very, very tiny trading day effect, okay? So I could eventually focus on the one that have the more important trading day effect and refine the analysis, but usually I will forget about it. You see what I mean, Siska? So you
Yes.
see here I can do a job very quickly to assess, to try to answer to the question, do I have any trading day effect in my my quarterly trade statistics? And this is, you have here the result. Why I told you at the beginning, I do not expect to have a lot of trading day effect in quarterly time series. I do have here, and certainly I will find a significant one in monthly series. So I do have some of the series with a trading day effect, but it is really small and probably very unstable. So I won't take it into consideration for quarterly series. Okay? Do you understand my reasoning, my answer? Yeah?
Yes.
So we will see that next week, of course. I will teach you how to do this kind of analysis very quickly. Okay?
Yes. Okay.
So I will stop for today, except, of course, if you have any question. But of course, things will become more and more technical and more difficult, if I can say so, with time. But next week, I think that you will be accustomed to the software, to the graphical interface. And so this kind of thing I'm doing very quickly, it's not completely insane for you. When you see it, you see, okay, now you feel that, I'm sure you feel that you could replicate it if I give you some time. And I will give you some time, of course, to do that. Is it okay, Siska?
Yes.
Any other question? No?
No questions.
Wonderful. I can go back to bed, so. No, I wish you a good day. So,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
And I think we have everything for tomorrow. I will try to prepare the monthly data today. If I do so, I succeed, I will send them to you, Siska. And
Okay.
probably tomorrow we are not going to deal with calendar effects, but I promise that we will do that on Monday. Okay? So you will, okay?
Okay.
So see you soon. See you tomorrow morning. Okay.
See you. Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Good
Have a
day.
nice day. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye bye. Thank you.
Bye, Fatou.